Truly, D&D is everywhere these days. Whether it's through Critical Role's campaigns or their more recent animated series, which can be found on Amazon Prime, it has never been an easier time to get into and explore the vast and imaginative world of Dungeons & Dragons. During my childhood, growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, D&D was this mysterious thing still. There were no ads or cool movies, and there certainly weren't cool cartoons or animated shows to watch either. And that's not to throw shade at the classic D&D cartoon we did have. It's just that D&D was not as accessible or as acceptable a hobby as it is now. I think this, and the simple fact that it was much more difficult to get a tabletop group together on a consistent basis, that caused my first real D&D experience to come from the world of video games rather than tabletop. These early games and the meteoric rise in popularity of this beloved game called Dungeons & Dragons were all clear indicators looking back. It was only a matter of time until we got to see D&D be a massive success on the big screen too. One thing I truly love about D&D is that everyone's initial experience with the game can vary a lot. For my cousin and I, we first truly got acquainted with Dungeons & Dragons early on when we tried our hand at playing the original PC version of Baldur's Gate. I don't think we ever got too far into the game though, because we would run headfirst into battle with no real strategy or even understanding of the game's mechanics at the time. Still, the foundation for my love of D&D was cemented in those late hours spent creating characters with my cousin only to watch our party get smashed to pieces by one of the many dangerous enemies in that game. From there I went on to play D&D 2nd edition, where I first tried my hand at tabletop. But it didn't stick. It wasn't until I started playing Neverwinter Nights on PC that I really got more acquainted with Dungeons & Dragons, and with what it could mean to explore and tell a narrative with other people in real time, with or without the presence of an active dungeon master to oversee the game. That understanding exploded my interest in D&D, and I went on to great lengths to consume as much D&D related media as I could. From watching/listening to other groups playing tabletop, to playing various games relating to D&D, and finally, to joining my very own group of fellow D&D fans to meet up with and play with every Wednesday. We played our homebrew campaign for roughly 3+ years and became close friends over that time span. Shout out to you guys, for real. One day we'll continue our game and see the peoples of Obora freed from the shackles of the Empire and their evil machinations. I actually took a break from playing tabletop more recently, and I did this to focus more on my career and on trying my hand here on YouTube, since I wanted to do so for years and just never found the right motivation, and it seemed like it was now or never. So it really was a great surprise when we hadn't played for a while. The new D&D movie just released, and it seemed to be worth watching to the point that my friends and I agreed to meet up and go see it together. I imagine tons of D&D groups went to see this movie together, and that's a beautiful thought. The movie was an absolute blast too, and I highly recommend it to any fan of the game. Even if you have no clue about D&D though, I think there's so much here to love. It's a fun, fast-paced movie with humor, with drama, and plenty of fantastic action to go along with it. The main cast really grew on me too. They felt like characters we would actually come across in our own D&D campaigns. From their backstories to their motivations, it all felt like it was written by people who had actually played long hours at the table. And that's why I'm going to make a bold claim here in this video, right here and right now, and say, this is the movie from me. This is my movie of the year for 2023. Now, maybe something else will come along and blow my mind, but right now, this is it. This movie blew past my expectations to the point that I honestly have nothing bad to say about it. Go see it. Do yourself a favor. And even if you weren't planning on seeing it, I recommend you give it a try. The cast, the special effects, the writing, and the apparent and obvious love for D&D present throughout the entire movie are all of the highest quality. Now, I wanted to keep this spoiler free, so I avoided giving any real details about the movie, about what I loved about it. However, If you'd like me to do a short where I maybe give a 1 minute or less opinion about the film and quickly go over my favorite parts, just let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe to the video as well, and don't hesitate to hit that notification bell for more content like this each week. Every single week of doing these videos, I'm learning more about the editing process, how to write scripts, and just in general on how to be a better content creator for you guys. So I appreciate your support during this time, and I'm sure we'll hit 250 subscribers before long. But either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll plan to meet you back here next week, almost like we're our very own tabletop group.